Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Kuya Silver following up on a news release from just yesterday, October 22nd, announcing the first concentrate sale from the Bethania Project in Peru. This is all through the offtake agreement that the company has. And what's important here is that this is the first sale of these goods. I have online with me David Stein, President and CEO of Kuya Silver. Kuya is traded on the CSE under the symbol KUYA, on the OTCQB under the symbol KUYAF, and the Frankfurt Exchange 6MR1. Now, David, let's talk about this first sale of concentrate. Look, it was the first batch here. The company is ramping up this production in accordance with the offtake agreement. Take us through the importance here and how the whole process is running now that you have this first sale, please.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Corey. We're very excited to have this first sale on the books, and we actually mentioned in the press release we have a second batch of concentrate awaiting settlement right now. So we're going to get another, wire transfer into the bank account very soon. So that's exciting. And this is something that'll just become, obviously an ongoing part of the process. Every other bigger mining company, deals with this every day. But it's great that we're joining the ranks of, our much larger, more valuable peers, because there's obviously a big difference in how mining companies get valued versus how, junior explorers get valued. So we're very happy to be making the jump. Now, I mean, specifically how the logistics chain goes at our operation at the moment is we stockpile material at site at the Bethania mine. We're taking it to a toll mill. We've kind of selected amongst a number of them that are in the area that we're working with. And we toll mill it in a batch, and then we ship the concentrate to the port of Callao, where it is sold to Trafigura, who is our offtake partner. And the press release was just for our first sale, which was the silver lead con. That's going to be our main product. We will be selling zinc concentrate as well.
Can we talk about revenues then? I know that this was generally kind of a small first batch and you're planning on ramping that up, but how does the revenue model work? And are you going to be cash flowing from this operation early on?
Yeah, so look, I think the easiest way to think about revenue is to look at our full production guidance, which, at these silver prices, we'd be getting into the $45 to $50 million a year in top line revenue from the mining operations. Obviously, we expect very significant margins on that, in excess of 50% if we hit our cost goals, if the silver price stays where it is. So it's going to be a very profitable operation as we ramp up to full production next year, or our first phase of full production. Of course, we do talk about expanding our operation once we hit that 350 ton per day plateau. But obviously, we're trying to walk before we run. And it's a very exciting and attractive operation, even at that first phase. So that's probably the best way to look at it. Now, obviously, as we ramp up, initially revenue will be small. If things go the way they're going right now, we may actually break even before the end of this year. And then it'll just be more and more cash flow month over month as we ramp up in 2025.
All right, so full production being, as you said, that 350 tons per day. Break even, though, what approximate production levels would you be at then?
Yeah, look at our models, somewhere in the 50 to 75 tons per day, we should be breaking even. And then we're looking to get to 100 tons by the end of this year. And at that rate, we'd be making some profit, steady profit from the mine. And then, as we go from 100 to 350, the cash flow really starts to take off there. So then we can start to think about, allocating some of our cash flow to exploration drilling. We barely scratched the surface with the Bethania mine since we acquired it. We've always been very production focused company. Even the 5,000 meter drill program we did to determine our resource estimate was really focused in the mine area itself, where we knew we would have resources and where we wanted to build a block model. So it was really a drill program so we could do a block model and get mining. And, it's taken us a little bit longer as we look back on the last few years, but now we're doing it and it's really exciting.
Are there any major costs that you need to undertake as you continue this ramp up, even as you get to, let's say, that 100 tons per day, hopefully by the end of the year, or to that full production of 350?
No, I mean, look, the nice thing is that the mine Capex, so that's basically doing underground development that we're going to use for a long period of time underground, so new tunnels and ramps and stuff like that. That we can fund from cash flow. It's only going to be $50,000 a month here, $100,000 a month there. It's nothing major, so it's something we can just do as we go. The sort of the bigger capital project that we would like to do down the road is to build our own mill at site. We did go through the permitting process successfully, and we fully permitted a 350 ton per day mill to be built at site. That was estimated in our PEA 2022 dollars to be 14 million for the mill equipment itself, construction, tailings, and above ground infrastructure. So that would be higher today, and with inflation, maybe guesstimating something in the 18 to 20 million dollar range. But that's something we can fund from cash flow potentially, especially as we look into, like, let's say the second half of 2025 or later in 2025. We do want to get doing more exploration, and that's probably even a higher priority right now than building the mill. We want to show the market that this isn't just a 14 or 15 million ounce deposit. It's going to be a 30, 50, 100 million ounce deposit. We have all the targets and the veins exposed for that potential, and now it's a matter of going around and drilling that, and we can do that again from cash flow, next year.
Okay, but that's more of a next year type of thing. Now, you did mention that the second batch is already in the system here. What is the consistency going to be of this deliverable concentrate material?
Yeah, look, so far we're getting very high silver recoveries from our initial few batches, which has been, positive. There's always a little bit of learning and optimization when you start milling. But yeah, we've been very pleased. And obviously, with the higher silver price, that's been a little bit of a bonus on top of everything else. So it's looking good so far, and I think we will have some higher grades as we move forward, based on the mine scheduling that we're looking at right now. So we'll definitely have, potentially some even bigger production as we ramp up. But again, for the first few batches, it's been very good recovery and very successful from a technical perspective. Yeah.
Okay, and again, the consistency though, the second batch already being delivered. Is this a weekly thing, every 2 weeks type of thing where you're going to be delivering these batches, or will these batches get larger but take a bit longer to be delivered to the off taker?
It's probably a combination of the two, to be honest. The batches will get larger because these first kind of two batches, which we sort of combined into one, which is the 420 tons we mentioned in the press release, it really consisted of two smaller batches that we shipped and milled separately. But we're still, kind of feeling out the mill and optimizing it and testing it a little bit, and that's why we did it that way. So the lots will be larger in size going forward, and they will be frequent. The frequency will increase as we go, and eventually, when we get to 350 tons per day, we'll be doing probably a shipment of 500 tons every 2 days, right? Or a day and a half. But that'll be, 9, 10 months from now. We're looking into Q3 of next year. But that's sort of, where we're at today versus the goalpost in another, not quite a year. I think it'll be a little sooner than that. But that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
All right, so David, you mentioned leverage to the silver price. Then right now, at least, the recoveries seem more silver focused. What other leverage to other metals do you have here? Is this mostly just a silver focused production run?
So if you look at our resource and, apply some, recovery metrics to it, you'd be looking at something, 75% silver, maybe even pushing 80% with the current silver price outperforming the base metals. We do have, minor amounts of lead and zinc in the ore, and even a little bit of copper and gold as well. So that's the metal mix from a technical point of view, but this is a real true primary silver deposit. These early batches have been more silvery rich than anything else. And again, they're small, right? This isn't necessarily what we're going to get over the longer term, but it's still going to be dominantly 75, 80% plus silver by revenue. and that gives investors huge leverage to the silver price. I think one thing that maybe a lot of investors don't realize is that there are really very few companies out there publicly traded that generate more than 50% of their revenue from silver, let alone 75, 80%. There's even fewer. The vast majority of guys out there who market themselves as silver companies, they actually get, 50, half their revenue from gold or 70% of their revenue from gold in some cases. So they're not really giving investors as much silver exposure as they might think. So, we really think we've got the competitive edge here as we go forward. We're not the only company, but we're one of very few out there. And if investors do get really bullish on silver, as they should, they're going to be piling into companies like Kuya, and that's going to drive our valuation up.
Hey, just look at the moves in the silver price, right? And as long as you benefit from those higher silver prices through this toll mining, then, well, hopefully you get to that cash flow positive sooner rather than later. David, thank you for the update. Again, David Stein, President and CEO of Kuya Silver. I'll post a link to the company's website in the show notes. Feel free to click that link and read over all the company's news, especially this recent news release. David, thanks for your time today.
Thanks again, Corey.